Well, it looks like Keir Starmer might get his wish after all. Let's begin. Well, for weeks, if not months, we've heard Boris say something like no rules were broken, although some mistakes were made, or something like that. And I remember, I think it was when it first came out that there had been meetings, parties. It is quite an easy mistake to make. I often get them too confused. But from that point on, I think it was that Keir Starmer seemed to call for Boris's resignation daily and looked utterly disgusted. Although from what I saw, there was actually a picture of himself floating about having a beer with colleagues whilst on a break, which apparently wasn't actually allowed at the time. But obviously, according to him, that was allowed. And for whatever reason, we kept hearing something like it does not compare to the potential rule breaking of Downing Street parties, when actually, in fact, in my opinion, it was just as bad. But strangely, nothing much more has been said about Keir's possible rule breaking, and that also didn't stop him from calling for the Prime Minister's resignation either, despite not actually doing the same thing himself. But according to Sky News, Boris, Carrie and Rishi are all going to be issued fines over the parties. So as apparently no Prime Minister has been issued a fine whilst in office for potential law breaking, I unfortunately think it's probably a matter of time before Boris does resign. And I say unfortunately because apart from this whole saga, I do in general actually quite like Boris. You know, he has done quite a few good things, like giving us Brexit, for example, although admittedly it's probably not the Brexit that most of us voted for, but I think he'd probably give us the best possible version that Parliament would allow him to, whilst all other parties just seem to want to take us back in the EU, which, whether some people like it or not, it's not what we voted for. We voted to leave. So of course I think it will be a shame if he does go, but at the moment I just can't see how he can stay. Boris Johnson and his wife Carrie and the Chancellor Rishi Sunak have been notified that they will be issued with fines for breaking lockdown rules. The fixed penalty notices are the result of a Metropolitan Police investigation into parties at Downing Street and Whitehall in 2020 and 2021. Mr Johnson will become the first sitting Prime Minister to receive a punishment for breaking the law. Labour immediately called for both the PM and the Chancellor to resign, whilst the Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey called for Parliament to be recalled for a vote of confidence in Mr Johnson. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon also demanded that they both quit. Well, personally, I think Keir should practice what he preaches, and also maybe Nicola could do the Scottish people a favour and go as well. But I'm afraid, Boris, your time might be up, unless, of course, you can think of something to smooth over the whole situation. Anyway, to be kept up to date, make sure you click that subscribe button down there so you don't miss my next video.